Hi everyone, I'm Fleur.
I'm Justin.
You can tell we're professionals.
We're husband and wife duo. I thought Richard and Judy, you know.
Something like that, or Torval and Dean, whatever. Thank you very much for having us. We started Wolo Foundation as a result of my own cancer diagnosis. So 5.5 years ago, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, completely out of the blue. There's no history of it in my family. We had 3 young children at the time, and life turned upside down overnight, pretty much, didn't it? And I've had my treatment. So I had surgery, then more surgery, then I had chemotherapy, and then I had radiotherapy, and then I had more surgery, and I've been cancer-free now for 5 years, pretty much. Thank you. But cancer's the gift that keeps on giving, and I'm now in the chemical menopause, which is not pleasant, and will be for up to 10 years. You can appreciate that, can't you?
I can't comment on that.
So when we were going through our journey, we didn't know anyone else that had been diagnosed, let alone anyone else with any small children. I was 38. The children were, I think, the youngest one had just started reception. The older 2 were in about year 4, year 5. So pretty young. After the treatment finished, we felt very passionately about trying to create a community for other people going through a similar journey. So Wolo was born. We'd always lived by the YOLO ethos, you only live once. And so we changed it a little bit to we only live once. We always grabbed opportunities when they came about and tried to live our best lives with our family. In fact, we've had quite a few, what should we say, big T's. Lots of different things have happened throughout our lives, which kind of led us to live our life that way in the first place. Cancer was kind of the final thing. So give us a break. And so we decided to try and inspire other people really to live lives to the full. We think COVID's done that for quite a few. COVID has really made people sit up and think, oh, hang on a minute, what am I doing with my life? Why am where I am? Cancer didn't really do it for us because we were already living that ethos. But we wanted to try and inspire people to do the same thing and to really take note of the in-between things. So not just living for the weekend, but actually, you know, for doing a dog walk on the beach in the evening or doing those little things, because actually it's the little things that people miss the most when they're not here anymore. So that's how Wolo was born, really. Justin really struggled with his mental health during my diagnosis, and you're quite passionate about talking, because men generally don't like talking very much, because compared to us women, and so we have really tried to empower men to be able to talk to each other. So Wolo help families in a lot of different ways. We support families all across Sussex with a child or children under the age of 16 at the point of diagnosis. We also help the whole family, not just the person that's been diagnosed, because we found that there was a lot of support, well, some support out there for me, but nothing for Justin and nothing for the children. So we were really passionate about trying to put something in place to fill that gap. We create family events, so we call our community, call our families the Wolo community, and we provide family events all across Sussex specifically for our families. For example, next week we've hired out the ice rink at Eastbourne for exclusive use. All of our families will come to that. We're very much on a relaxed basis, so we don't want a support group, you know, where you put your hand up and say, oh, my name is Fleur, I was diagnosed 5 years ago. It's nothing like that. Everybody knows why they're there, and they don't have to talk about it if they don't want to, but they can suddenly feel like they're not isolated anymore, and there are lots of other people going through a similar experience to them. We don't have a time limit to the amount of length of time we support families for. So we've got some families that have people that have passed away and have now actually, who never thought it possible, but have moved on. And so we're able to introduce families that have lost loved ones when they feel ready, to people that have been on a similar journey to them. We also support families with the children that have cancer. So there's a big variety. So aside from family events, we also have an extensive wellness programme where we're trying to encourage people to habitually prioritise their self-care, because it's sort of the thing that comes to the bottom of the list, really, if we're honest. And actually, it's a really big fundamental thing we really need to do to prioritise ourselves, especially post-cancer. Only, I think, 5% of cancers are genetic, so 95% of cancers are something, the environment, trauma, anything like that. There's lots of books and things out there to read, but it's really important that we look after ourselves. So we have yoga, but we have cycling on the South Downs. We have cold water therapy. Marcus has just qualified as the Wim Hof instructor. We have saunas, lots of different programs all across us. We've also devised our own wellness program, which includes a residential. It's a 6-week course, not a 6-week residential, not that lucky. It's like a 2-3 night residential, and then 6 weeks of therapy with a psychotherapist and a trauma therapist, where we teach people how to trauma release exercises, that sort of thing. And we also help in practical ways. So I don't know, cutting the grass, or putting some shelves up, or organising some cleaning, all the things that go to the bottom of the list when a family are going through a serious situation. We just try, our main ethos is to provide families with the support going through their cancer journey, and we don't have a prescriptive list because every family is very different, and we pride ourselves in our bespoke approach. We would like you to participate in a little social experiment, if you wouldn't mind, just to demonstrate the impact cancer has. So if, I'll do that in a minute. It's trying to take charge. Okay. We'd like to ask individuals, please, to stand up and stay standing up, if you have or have had cancer. Miss Marcus, if you can stand up and stay standing up, if your partner has or has had cancer. Thank you. If you could stand up, if your child has or has had cancer. If you could stand up, if someone else in your family has or has had cancer. And lastly, if you have a friend who has or has had cancer. Thank you. Have a look around. You will see in the room that every single one of us has been or has been affected by cancer. Thank you very much for joining in. We are the only charity in this area that supports the whole family, and there is no time limit to our support, so we are constantly growing. We work with other charities such as Macmillan, Click Sargent, Children with Cancer Fund and Young Lives versus Cancer. Companies like Electa really help, as well as the other charities. They all have their own purposes, but together we're supporting families on every level and making a life-changing impact on them. So thank you for everything that you do. Every 2 minutes, someone in the UK is diagnosed with cancer. If you were born after 1960, 1 in 2 of us will be diagnosed with cancer. Wolo currently supports 135 families and over 200 children. In the last 3 years, the number of families we support has grown by over 2,000%. We anticipate this will continue to grow at the same rate, and as more and more families continue to be affected by cancer and need our support. Thank you for helping us to demonstrate how cancer affects us all. Did you want to say anything?
Well,
I've taken over the mic.
No, okay, so, I stand here and listen to my wife and reflect a bit. We never intended to go out and set a charity up. I'm a designer. I sat in front of my whole computer. Didn't really speak to many people, just emails and all that life. This made me become a dad, became a husband, but I managed to, in the darkest times, find light. One of those things was a social media post that went viral, and I signed it off. We only live once. It was the day in the life of my life. It was going up to London, having a meeting, doing a pitch, this and that, coming on the train home, going to chemo, just life, right? And it wasn't a cry for help or anything, but I signed it off. We only live once. Thought nothing of it. Wasn't really even on social media. That went viral over 900,000 times. And it was guys, people just going, yeah, here, man, I get it. And unfortunately, in the system, call it the system, the world we live in, unless you ask for help, it doesn't really come our way. So I was asking for help that day while I was born. Everyone says, what is it? I just say, Google it. It's like Fight Club. It's a club you don't want to be part of, right? But you guys have a massive part to play in everything that's happening within our community. You guys save lives, simple as that. We try and do what we can. I wouldn't say we save lives, but we certainly help people to go and live their best life. No matter what life throws at you, you can get through the most darkest times. And even when things become just so sad, it's unimaginable, there's hope to be able to move on. I have to believe that. If I go off Google, the stats, my wife shouldn't even be standing here. But she's here. Marcus, you're meeting in a minute. I've got to carry on for my kids. And we got to give them hope. So Wolo's about inspiring. We're cancer preventative. Okay, we help people with cancer, but we want to go and inspire at a low level to inspire these kids to go and live your best life. Because if it's not cancer, something else will get hold of you. But please, the job that you guys do is you're not going to meet the people and realise the impact you guys have. But if you can take something away from today, it's just pat yourself on the back, because it can become quite a consuming place, the cancer world, and you guys live it day in, day out. I mean, I can sometimes step away from this and do stuff, but you guys do it every day, and I really respect that, so thank you. Thanks, Fler.
Thank you. We would like to share a video with you about the work we do to support families in Sussex.
What started as an idea following a diagnosis of our own, we didn't know any others and felt so alone.
To create a community, that was our goal, to improve the lives of others and their families as a whole.
To see others struggling was a complete no-no, so we set up a charity and we called it Wolo.
We tailor our service to each family. We listen in earnest to each of their needs.
For some, they pay for driving lessons. For others, they pay for therapy sessions.
A day trip to a theme park, a spa or the zoo. Wolo can help stop folks feeling blue.
The Wolo Foundation is made up of new friends. At last, the loneliness and isolation ends.
We're fixing the toilet, preventing a flood, to weed in the garden
and moving some mud. Fairies who come each week to clean.
Helping families at hospital they've been.
Drawing, rock climbing, playing fun games, creating good times is one of our aims.
From supplying food vouchers to promoting healthy eating,
to putting up shelves or fixing the heating,
buying a mattress or a piece of equipment, a wheelchair, an oven, whatever the commitment.
Wolo is there for families all affected. Living in Sussex, no one is neglected.
Quality time, a retreat in the woods. You can count on Wolo to come up with the goods.
They're there through diagnosis, treatment and moving on, and supporting families when loved ones have gone.
Desperate times with increased costs of living.
The financial burden of cancer is so unforgiving.
They started so small and now they've grown so much more. Families need their help more than ever before.
Collaborating with others is something we do to support families and help get them through.
Promoting good health and prioritising self-care, surviving, thriving and being more aware.
Live well to the full and enjoy your days.
Keep family close in your heart always.
Important in life to have lots of fun, because remember, above all, we only live once!
2 years ago, doctors told Marcos Jarvis there was nothing they could do to stop his advanced liver cancer, and his family began the painful process of coming to terms with that news.
As you can see from that video there, I was diagnosed with stage 4 advanced incurable cancer, and they only gave me 3 months to live, 91 days. And as you know, you can't get a lot done in 91 days, but you have to make some kind of decision. But we were in a situation where I wasn't doing very well with health issues and everything else, and I kept going to the doctors, and they ended up having MRI scans and finally pinpointing what the problem was. And when I got called into the oncology office with my wife, I had a 4-year-old little boy at the time, and they said, unfortunately, there's not a lot we can do. It's suspected pancreatic cancer with secondary on the liver. There's no chance of surgery because it's far too advanced. So we had to make a choice, me and my wife, because when we came out of the hospital, we only got given a phone number, and we didn't really know which direction to go in. So there was appointments to keep coming back to start palliative chemo. And we had to explain to my little boy what was going to happen to the best of our ability. And we felt lost and alone, with no focus and no actual direction. But this is when Wolo stepped in, and to have that support beside you, excuse me, to have someone to hold your hand and to explain that there is hope and there is a chance if you make the right choices. And me and my wife made the right choices, because I'm still standing here today in front of all you guys telling you a story. And it was a choice of listening to what I needed to do, listening to the doctors, listening to the oncologists, back and forth to the hospital, changing my diet, exercise, meditation, Tai Chi. We tried everything, and we were lucky because the tumours actually started to shrink, which was such a fantastic day. That MRI scan that said that, me and my wife just didn't know what to do. So we just decided to just keep fighting and fighting hard. We actually started exercising together, and we actually started feeling quite well with the diet, the meditation and the mindset really pushed us on. And with Wolo, I made Justin run many a times with me. We actually entered a marathon, and it was the day after chemo. And he didn't want to complete it. But he was like, how can I complain when I'm running alongside a warrior like this? And we actually finished that race. And we just, If it wasn't for the support of Wolo, and if it wasn't for the support of all you guys creating such amazing advanced situations, they would have never found out what was wrong with me, and I probably wouldn't be here. So I'd like to say thank you to Wolo. I'd like to say thank you for all you that have put in the hard work and the dedication and coming to work, because you really are saving lives. And I'd like to say thank you to my wife and my little boy, to standing beside me, to help me through this situation. Thank you. I always tend to forget this part. I had 35 rounds of chemotherapy and they finally done surgery. And when they cut the last 6 tumours out, they were actually dead. And I'm pleased to say that I am actually cancer free. So yeah, I always forget to say that part because, and another thing about Wolo, they've helped me rebuild my life as well. They've helped me train as a Wim Hof instructor because I used a lot of cold therapy throughout my journey. I used to run topless throughout winter, in the snow, ice baths, cold showers. And yeah, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have trained, and I'm hoping to pass on that message to other people. So, if there is any questions to me, Fleur, Justin, or anyone else.
Just hold a sec, Cameron. Just get you a mic.
So you talked a little bit about your children. How are they doing now, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah. Well, so, my twins now, they're 15. They were 9, I think, 9, 10, that sort of age. My little one, 11 now, so she was like 5. Okay, so the reality is, yes, it has affected them. Okay, they have. I've got to believe as a parent that was a gift. We've managed to get through some really tough times. So the value of financial gain or money or mortgages, all the rubbish that comes with our so-called lives. But to see your parents probably at the lowest of low, an experience of that. But for those guys, my kids go and meet the heroes. So the hospitals, they've seen life from a different angle, right? And there's one moment when you said that springs to mind. If I said, 3 months ago, we were sitting around the dinner table. My daughter, I always think of her young, she's 15, and she turned around to me and said, Dad, I don't know how we got in the conversation, it was the whole cancer thing. And then she went, do you know what, Dad, when Mum was really sick, it was kind of cool, really, because we had loads of time off school, we did loads of cool stuff with you. I mean, I ticked that box. So, proof's in the pudding, right? Let's just hope my kids or our kids grow up with resilience, but also empathy. A lot of people are encouraged to go out and talk and express their feelings and how we feel. But for me personally, I don't think there's enough people listening. And I really hope that one day my kids can share their story and help inspire many other children. And not only that, whatever life throws at us, we're going to crack on no matter what. We're that family. We ain't going anywhere. Thank you. So I think the answer is they're doing all right.
Just now when we were talking, Marcus, before we came in here, I saw your poster for Africa. And we've got an awful lot of enthusiastic people here who love doing things to raise money. Can you just tell me about that story and how 100 miles in Africa or whatever it was came about? Because that was just incredible based on what you just said.
Yeah, the Africa trip came about because they actually realised his tumours had shrunk enough and they actually offered surgery. And Wolo actually paid for me and my family to have a little bit of a respite before I went into surgery because they didn't know whether I'd come off the table or not. So we stayed in this little place, little cottage just round the corner from where we lived. And the guy who actually owned it, he runs a safari in South Africa. And I was asking him what his job was, and he told me. And I remember saying to him, well, if you ever need someone to run across Africa, because he's a conservationist as well, planting trees, I'm quite happy to do that. And he said to me, he goes, if you get yourself through surgery, get yourself through chemo, we will run 100 miles in Africa. So I did. I started training. I ended up running 2,500 miles whilst I was on chemotherapy. I completed ultras, and I went back to Angus and I said, I'm ready. So me, Justin and Angus went out to Africa. We mapped out 100 miles throughout the bush, which was wild game tracks. So there was no footpaths, no roads. It was just in the bush. And the elevation, I'm not sure what it was over the 5 days for the 100 miles. I think it's about 3,200 feet. So it's pretty tough, hot weather, very humid. And that is how the story of 100 Africa came about.
Sorry to add to that. I was privileged to join Marcus on that. You might have heard I'm the guy who goes, yeah, I'll do it with you. So yeah, we did it, man. And one thing that was stunning about that, so who we do it with, a very, very good friend of ours who supports what we do and stuff, but his world's conservation. So we married the two up, so charity, conservation and community. So when we go out in the bush, we're literally in the wild, but also with all the local communities, the villages, and it's had a profound impact on me. Seeing the world from a different perspective is just truly magical, but also just from the animal side of things. And there's a beautiful thing that we do with this that he arranges. So the conservation aspect, when we did it, we released 2 giraffes. So these got the bull giraffes. These got released back into the wild. And one of them's named Wolo. They're all GPS. One's called Wolo, and one's off a dear lad that we lost called Logan, isn't it? Which is lovely. And this year, was it September? October. We did it again. It's only a small group. We only take sort of 25. This is trekking as well. So it's like 15 miles a day, sort of 15 to 18. So some run, some trek. But we go out sunrise. We're back in bush camp by sort of lunchtime. So you're not out in the absolute extreme heat. But the bush camp's beautiful. It's not tense. If you have a look, it's pretty special. But we released zebras this year, which obviously was amazing. So yeah, it's happening again next year. Come on, man. It's crazy. It's for me in this world of cancer, all this stuff. But to go out from a different perspective and do good. So we've just said if you can go out and try and raise £1,000 for Wolo, then happy days. I'd rather give you a journey. This isn't a challenge. It's a journey through nature that's never an impact on the rest of your life. But that run, that trek, it was never going to be a memorial run.
Okay, Dee mentioned you're going to be with us next door in the mingle later on. And you mentioned at the start, Fler, that the number of families needing support is just going up and up and up. So I'm sure as we go into 2024, you've got loads of events for next year. Can you just give us some of the events you've got coming up next year that we can maybe come and help you with and sign up to during the mingle?
Okay, I get the idea. Okay, I'd like to hopefully through Wolo you inspire yourselves. If there's things you want to do, or bucket list, or even the most simple things with your family, might be just walking the roads. It might be being accountable for getting up and seeing the sunrise. It doesn't have to be. I never go out and say, we need money. No, it's about inspiring everybody. But from that point of view, we do the standard things. The Beachhead Marathon, that's going to be big this year. They've got the half marathon, the full marathon, and ultra. We have a lovely run. I say lovely, beautiful and brutal. Raffini Vineyard. We do a half marathon and a 10K through that. So that's in Alfriston. I think that's the end of April, which is a lovely one to be involved in. Fire walks, wing walks, skydives, all the horrendous stuff that you can imagine. Abseils. And someone's potentially at the moment, we're setting up a cycle ride from, it'd be London to Genoa in Italy. So that's anyone who likes cycling, that's going to be a pretty big one for us.